Charles Dickens was born in Portsmouth in 1820 during the early Victorian era, when the full effect of the Industrial Revolution began to be felt. There were years of great unrest and hopes. However, there were difficulties. Not as much of his humours, but evidence for his social novels like Oliver Twist, David Copperfield, Hard Times, and Christmas Carol is considered one of the most novelists of all time and one of the most popular. One of the most famous and influential works of Dickens is Oliver Twist. That is a story of a young orphan, Oliver, and his attempt to survive in a society, the Victorian one, that refused illegitimate children and didn't take care of poor people. Oliver was born in a workhouse in a small town about 17 miles from London. His mother dies almost immediately after his birth and he is sent to a parish orphanage until he is about 18 years old. At this point, so the parish officials offer £5 to anyone who is willing to take Oliver on as an apprentice. After a brief, unhappy period at Mrs. Roberry's, Oliver runs away toward London. He meets Jack Dawkins, better known as the Awful Dogger, who buys him lunch and offers to introduce him as a gentleman in London who will give him a place to stay. The gentleman is called Fagin, and he runs a school for pickpockets, but Oliver is not a successful student. He is caught on his first attempt at thief. Mr. Brownlow, the victim, is tricked by the ragged and unhealthy appearance of Oliver, so rather than charging him with thief, he takes him home and takes care of him. Oliver was very happy in the Brownlow's home, but his adventure was not over. A mysterious man named Monks wants Fagin to capture Oliver. Fagin sends a thief, Bill Sikes, and his lover Nancy to kidnap Oliver and bring him to Fagin. Then Fagin sends Oliver with Sikes to rob a house. Again Oliver is caught while Sikes escapes. Oliver is again nursed back to health by those he tried to rob, and he spends a wonderful summer with Mrs. Maylie and her adopted niece Rose. However, the still mysterious Monks persist to try to capture Oliver, and when Nancy tries to warn Rose, she is brutally murdered by Sikes, who later dies escaping as he accidentally hangs himself. Finally, after Nancy is murdered, all of the truth is revealed. Monks is a Oliver half-brother. Fagin is executed, and Oliver is adopted by Brownlow and almost absurdly lives happily ever after. Dickens was the first English novel to have a guy as protagonist, and one of the earliest examples of social novel that is develops in the first half of 19th century and is a kind of novel that portrays the lives of economically disadvantaged social classes and denotes situation of injustice and prejudice. Unusual for the time was also strongly anti-romantic depiction of criminals and the poor's lives. Through a reversal of the Bildungsroman and an environment dark humor, the novel explores the earliest 19th century society, poverty, child labor, urban crime, and the inherent hypocrisy of the Victorian culture. With regard to the differences and similarities between the work and the movie, there is a final chapter in which the story has complications that not appear in the film, but are important because they conclude the story with a happy ending. In the film, we see as the director emphasizes especially the true living condition of abandoned children forced to learn about violence and crime of fracture and to grow in an environment that is completely wrong and inappropriate to a child's life. The message conveyed by the film maintaining an happy conclusion to the protagonist, but reducing the value of his historical period point out on problems like childhood and child labor at the time of industrial progress.